Good evening, everyone. This is Robert Jamieson. Welcome to our Thursday night chess lesson for Thursday the 15th of August. I don't have a student with me today, so I'm going to do what we normally do and unmute some of you throughout the lesson and get you to help me for 4 or 5 minutes as we go along. I notice we've got a number of new people here today, so welcome to them. The format is we start with the puzzle, then we're going to have a look at a game. And if I ask you a question and I want you to answer it, then you answer it in the questions box and we take it from there. All right, the puzzle. Let's see, maybe Bridgesh can help me. You there, Bridgesh?
Yep.
How are you tonight?
Good.
That's good. Did you do any good at the puzzle?
Yep. I was having a look at it. Yeah.
What do you think the answer is? Is it going to be a win for white, a win for black, or a draw?
I think it might be a draw.
Okay, so how are you going to get a draw? What move do you make for white first?
No, probably a win. Sorry, win. Yeah.
Win for white or black?
Yeah. White, because he has the extra pawn.
He's got the extra pawn, yes, but black's threatening pawn equals queen check on f1. So what move do you want to make for white first, do you think?
H5.
You want to play h5?
Oh, no.
No, you've got to watch out because I'm going to play pawn to f1 equals queen.
Maybe I could play G8.
You could play g8 equals queen check, and I'll take you with my rook. What would you do then?
I'll take the H2.
Right.
No, I'll go to rook E8.
Oh, hang on. All right, let's start again. So you want to go g8 equals queen, rook takes. You're going to go rook a8 check. I'm going king d7. What do you want to do then?
Take. Oh, it doesn't work.
Doesn't work because I'm still getting a queen. So I'll have queen against rook and hopefully win. All right. So let's see if we can work it out. So some of you tried pawn to g8 equals queen. That was okay, but it didn't quite work. Some of you tried king e6, but we then play rook g6 check and get a queen next move probably. So that doesn't work either. So what's the main problem, Bridgesh? If you're white, what's annoying you?
The F pawn.
The F pawn. So it's going to go pawn to f1 equals queen. So we need to stop that, don't we?
Maybe we can play rook E8.
We could play rook a8 check, but then I just moved my king away.
Rook E8.
Rook E8. No, hang on, the rook's on A2 at the moment.
Sorry, rook E2.
Rook E2, all right, so you check me away and I go up to D7 or something. Okay, I've got my pawn now.
Oh, no, it doesn't work. Maybe we can go to rook D2.
Right, I'm still getting pawn equals queen check. So there's one more way you can stop the pawn you haven't had a look at yet.
Rook A1.
Rook A1. So let's have a look at that. Rook A1. So now I can't get the pawn and make a queen because you just take me. All right, but what can black do now?
He can go rook A2.
No, hang on. White's going to play pawn
he can do rook G1.
Rook G1. Okay, so now if we take, black's getting a queen. And if we go pawn equals a queen on G8, he just takes and forces on F8. So we just need some help here, guys. We've started it. We've got the first move for white. We've got the first move for black. And it looks like black is going to win, unless we can find a really good move here. So type in on the question if you can find a good move for white.
Oh, I get a king E6.
King E6.
So if he king, because if he takes, we get a queen, and if he promotes, it's checkmate.
All right, so let's have a look. King E6. What if I play rook E1 check? What would you do then?
king d6.
All right, and then I play king f7, and then I'm going to get queen next move.
Oh.
I'm still winning. All right, thanks, Bridget. Someone's found the answer. I'll get him to tell it to us. Let's go back. All right, so we start off rook a1. I'm playing rook g1. Are you there, Daniel?
Yes.
Don't sound so unhappy, Daniel, because I think you solved it. You want to tell everyone the winning move?
Rook F1.
Excellent. Rook f1. Locking the pawn. And now obviously if black plays rook takes rook, white gets the queen and black wins. So, well done, Daniel. Congratulations. So, pretty tricky. You had a few alternatives to choose from there. But Daniel and also Derek solved it. I think they're the only two. So well done to those two guys. All right. Now, for today, as I don't have a student with a game of his own to go through, I thought we'd have a look at a game of Bobby Cheng's. Now, Bobby is a very, very strong player, as we all know. And a week or two ago, he was over in China leading the Australian team in the World Under-16 Youth Championships. I think he only lost one game, and this is that game. So we're going to have a look at it and see what we have to do to try and beat Bobby and what mistakes he might have made. Now, who shall I get to help me? Let's start off with Daniel. Are you there, Daniel?
Yes.
How are you tonight?
Good.
Okay, so will you help me with the first bit of the opening?
Okay.
Okay, so the game starts off, Bobby is black. I think this is the Chinese number 1, so he's probably a pretty good player. And white plays e4. Now, one of the things we try to do in the opening is establish a foothold in the center. So black decides he wants to get a foothold in the center by putting his pawn up to d5. Now, would that be a good move if I did that straight away, Daniel, or what would be the problem with that?
The queen out will go early if he takes.
Yeah, so it takes, we get our queen out early, and then the queen gets hit around by knight c3 and stuff like that. So we generally say it's not a good idea to get your queen out too early. All right, so that's the flaw of playing d5 straight away. All right, so black says, okay, I've got a better opening. I'm going to play something called the French defense, where I play e6, d4, then I play d5, so that if white now takes, we can take back with a pawn and our queen doesn't come out. So what do you think of that? Is that a good opening, Daniel? Does that solve my problem?
A bit. It opens the king up.
Okay. Now if I play e5, now what would be the problem with this defense? So with the previous one, the center counter, black ended up with his queen out too early. So what's the problem for black with this French defense, do you think?
The bishop is blocked.
Yes. Because of that pawn on e6, our white squared bishop is blocked. It can't get out too easily. All right. So that's the problem with the French defense. So Bobby has a really good idea. He's not playing the center counter. He's not playing the French. He's playing the Caro-Kann, which is c6. Now, what would his idea be with c6, Daniel? Do you see what he's trying to do?
Yes.
So if white, say, plays d4, what's Bobby going to do now?
D5.
d5. Okay, so again, if we have a pawn swap, Bobby doesn't have to take with a queen. He can take with a pawn, so his queen's not out early. And what's the good thing about this compared with the French defense?
It's not blocking the bishop.
Yes. Yes, so Bobby's bishop can come out somewhere on that diagonal because it's not blocked. So every opening you guys play, there's sort of like an idea behind it, a different idea. So we looked at the French defense idea, the center counter. This is the Caro-Kann. And its idea is revolving around that light squared bishop. Can black get it out before he plays e6? Now, what would be the problem with this opening, Daniel, playing c6? What's the disadvantage? Sorry, say again?
Pardon?
What's the disadvantage of playing pawn to c6 and then pawn to d5?
The
Is it
knight
something?
swap.
Yes, very good. You've got the hang of this. So because Bobby's put his pawn on c6, then that square isn't available for the knight, and we know that's the best square for the knight. We don't want to put the knight on the edge of the board or something silly like that. All right, so there's pros and cons. All right, what would you do here, Daniel? What would be your next move, do you think?
As white.
As white, yep.
Knight c3.
Very good. We can push past if we want, but knight c3 develops a piece and covers the e-pawn, so that's fine. All right, now Bobby decides he's going to swap pawns. So he goes d takes, hang on, d takes, knight takes. What's the disadvantage of that, Daniel? The black. He's had a pawn swap in the centre.
The knight is in the center for white.
Yeah, any other disadvantage? So one white's got a knight right in the middle of the board now. What would be another disadvantage?
One center pawn.
Almost. The other disadvantage is space. So when you look, Bobby's got a pawn on, the other guy's got a pawn on the 4th rank, whereas Bobby's only got one on the 3rd rank. So the white has more space. But he can get his bishop out. That's the compensation. So black to play. What do you reckon Bobby should do now?
Knight f6.
Wouldn't I take and double your pawns then? You happy with that? Oops.
No.
No. So give me another move. Remember the idea of the opening? What was the idea of the opening?
e4.
Hang on, let's go back. So the Caro-Kann, we said that had a special idea that solved the problem of the French defence. So what was the idea of the opening? Josh and Sam are all screaming it at us. Remember?
Center.
No, to get our bishop out. We wanted to get our light squared bishop out. So what move should we do now?
Bishop f5.
Bishop f5, very good. So now we've got our bishop outside the pawn chain and we're attacking the knight. So white says, okay, you're attacking me. I'll go back, I'll attack you. All right, where should we put the bishop or should we defend it? What do you think, Daniel?
Bishop e6.
E6. All right, why do you want to go to E6?
Because
Is that a good square for the bishop? Or are you going somewhere else or what?
maybe g6.
Yes. What we do with our pieces is we say, what's the best square for this piece? Where is it going to be most effective? So E6 would be blocking our E-pawn and we'd have trouble getting our bishop out. So G6 is correct. All right, thanks for helping me with the opening bit. I'll move on and give someone else a go. Thanks, Daniel. All right, how about Derek? You there, Derek?
Yes.
All right, so you can help me with the next few moves, I hope.
Okay.
You ever played the Caro-Kann or played against the Caro-Kann?
No, not often.
Okay, it's fairly tough. All right, so you're white. What would you like to do?
Knight e3.
Knight f3. That looks like a pretty good developing move. Any other thoughts?
Bishop c4.
Okay, knight f3, bishop c4. All right, give me one more candidate move.
Bishop e4.
Bishop f4. All right, so everyone type in what they think. So Derek's suggesting bishop c4, bishop f4, or knight f3. So type in your preferred move. Daniel Pobb's going c4, Joshua's going h4, Bridget's going knight f3, Nathaniel's going knight f3, Maha knight f3, Derek's C4. So we've got a lot of different moves. Only one person's got the right. So what do you reckon, Derek? If you have to choose now, which one would you say was the best?
C4, because you have to have those two pawns pushing together to get more space.
Okay, C4 is possible. This opening is basically all about that light squared bishop that Black's got. So Black said, you beauty, I've got it outside the pawn chain. I'm going to play E6 and my bishop will live happily ever after. And White says, well, maybe not. I'm going to hassle you as much as I possibly can. So the normal move here is H4, which Joshua knew. So well done, Joshua. So you can see what's happening here, Derek. White's planning to play H5 and trap that bishop. Or if the bishop escapes, White's still gaining a lot of space with his pawn on the king side.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what Black does. Bobby plays H6. All right, what do you think White should do now?
H5.
Yes, yeah, we follow up with our plan. I notice sometimes juniors, they sort of think of a plan one move, and when they're only halfway through it, they change their plan for the next move and do something totally different. So we should really follow through. So because we've gone H4, oh, hang on, wait a minute, I'm wrong. We're going to play H5 in a minute. First he plays knight F3. Bobby plays knight D7. Now he chases the bishop away. H5. So the bishop has to go all the way into H7, which looks a bit funny. So the bishop's moved 3 times already, even though we only had 8 moves. Okay, let's see if we can work out White's next move. So what move would appeal to you here, Derek, if you're White?
Bishop D3.
Bishop D3. Any other moves appeal to you?
Bishop F4.
Okay, I see Nathaniel, Thomas, Gil and Josh are all liking Bishop D3. Callum prefers C4. Right, what do you like about Bishop D3? Tell us about that.
It tries to swap with White bishop.
Okay, so is that going to be a good swap or a bad swap?
Good swap because he's moved his bishop 3 times.
Yeah, it's sort of a good swap. Mainly, let's have a look, see what he does. He does Bishop D... Oh, I went too fast. He does Bishop D3, and Bobby takes, and White takes back with a queen. So what has White gained by that swap?
He's gained a free developing move.
Yes, very good. He's gained a free developing move with his queen. So he's lost his white squared bishop, which would have been a pretty good bishop, but Black's had his in a good spot, but he spent 3 moves or 4 moves with the bishop already, and now it's disappeared. So let's see what happens. Okay. Black's go. What's he going to do? Obviously, I think he played pawn to E6. All right. How do you think Black's going at the moment?
He's behind in development.
Yep.
He's controlling the D5 square.
Yep. So Black's better, worse, about the same?
About the same, I think.
Okay. Well, the first thing to note is, as you say, White has 3 pieces developed, whereas Black's only got 1. So White's ahead in development. Now that's only important if you can actually do something with your extra pieces before the other guy catches up. So can White do something at the moment? Black's like playing a defensive game where he's only on the first 3 ranks and he's putting his main centre pawns on the opposite colour to his bishop. So they're like complementing each other, so that's a good setup. And I often say to you guys, if you're trying to find a plan, the thing to do is to get 2 pawns side by side, and that will give you mobility. You can put your rooks behind it, they can move forwards, they can swap off, whatever. But have a look at White's pawns. So his G pawn is not really going up to G4 or 5. His F pawn's not going anywhere. He can put his C pawn to C4. That's really the only chance he's got to put two pawns side by side. But the thing about Black's position is he's trying really hard to control this D5 square. So he's got two pawns covering it. He'll probably have a knight covering it in a minute. So White really hasn't got anything concrete he can do at the moment. So Black's got a nice solid position. All right, E6, what should we do now? What would you like to play, Derek?
Bishop F4.
Okay, why do you choose F4?
Bishop E3 seems a bit passive.
Yeah, Bishop E3, we don't want the bishop sort of locked in our pawn chain. It looks like it's a big pawn or something. So, so Bishop E3 would look a bit wrong. All right, any other move you consider? Or just Bishop F4?
Maybe C4.
Yeah, Gil is screaming castles and Joshua's going castles. What do you think about castles kingside?
Well, you have to get your king safe, so castle.
Would you think about castle and queenside, or you just castle kingside?
You might castle queenside.
Okay. Right, well, let's have a look what happened. Now, he didn't play Bishop F4. What I think is if... Let me just get rid of this for a minute. Right. If you play Bishop F4, it looks like a good spot for the bishop, but the only trouble is Black's probably going to bounce into D5 with one of his knights, and then the bishop's got to run away somewhere. So it's only a temporary good spot. Now, what White actually does is that the book move he plays Bishop D2, so he's sort of keeping his bishop behind his lines a bit, and he's stopping Black's queen maybe from coming out to A5, which would be a reasonable spot for the queen, and he's perhaps thinking maybe I might castle queenside, just to be different. All right, so Black's go. Let's see what Bobby does. Knight F6. All right, and Black. Oh, White does in fact castle queenside. All right. Black to play. Let's give Bobby a bit of help. I'm not sure the move he played here is the best one. So type in the question box, guys, what you think Black should do here. What would appeal to you, Derek? What's the sort of...
Knight B6, so one of the knights can go into D5 and stay there.
Okay, that will be moving a piece twice in the opening, which is a little no-no unless there's a really good reason. So admittedly we've moved our bishop 4 times. And remember, White's now got 4 pieces developed and he's castled, so we're miles and miles behind in development. So moving a piece twice that's already developed probably is the best. And what would be another one?
Bishop D3 or Bishop D2.
Bishop D6 or E7.
Yeah.
Gil is screaming at us G6. Would that be any good? Pawn to G6? What do you think?
Doesn't that just lose a pawn?
It just loses a pawn and opens up the king and is really bad. So Gil and Noam, not G6. All right, the choice is we should be moving this bishop. It's the next piece to develop. So we should be going to E7 or D6. Which one do you prefer, Derek?
D6.
D6.
Oh no, Bishop E7.
So you changed your mind, you're going E7 now.
Yeah.
Why did you choose E7 and not D6?
Because on D6, you can play Knight E4.
But I just swapped knights. Is that a problem for me?
Oh no, never mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I prefer D6 were it me, because maybe my bishops threaten to double the pawns on G3 or at least annoy that knight or something. And that looks like a pretty good spot for the bishop. In the actual game, Bobby played Bishop E7. Not sure about that. bet you guys won't get white's next move, so let's have another go. So white to play. What move would you like to do for white? He's made his king safe. He's got most of his pieces out. He could be ready to start an attack somewhere. Who knows? So what have we got? Rajesh is going knight e5. Maha's going rook h4. Callum likes rook e1. Sam likes knight e5. Gil likes queen b3. Any of those appeal to you, Derek?
I'm still thinking.
Okay. Liam's going rook e1. What do you reckon, Derek? We need a decision.
Bishop e4.
Bishop back
Bishop
there.
e3. e3.
Didn't we just say that was a lousy square for the bishop?
Oh yeah.
Right, well, no one has got it right. No one's got it right. I'll show you. So white plays king b1. Now, Derek, now you've seen he's played king b1. Explain that to me. Why would he want to play king b1? Isn't that like a waste of time?
So I can protect the pawn on a2.
But it's not even attacked or anything. Not even remotely going to be attacked. The queen can't get at it because the bishop's covering a5. So why would he do that? Any other thoughts? Sam's saying to get his king really safe. Yeah, in fact, I'll explain it. This is a fairly common manoeuvre when you castle queenside because the king is nearer the centre and it's also on this diagonal here where it might end up being checked or something, and maybe there's a fourth one or whatever. And also, as you pointed out, this A pawn isn't protected. So the trouble with many juniors is they just launch out into attacks, whereas good players wait till they're totally ready, then they attack. So here, white said, all right, I'm just going to make my king nice and safe, then I'll be ready to go. All right, I'll give someone else a go, so thanks for your help there, Derek. Okay, let's try Joshua. You there, Joshua? Joshua Lip, or you don't have a microphone, maybe? All right, I'll forget Joshua. We'll try Sam. You there, Sam?
Yes.
Hi. You help in the next couple of moves?
Okay.
All right, so it's black's go. What would you like to do for Bobby?
I'd probably bring out maybe my queen to b6 or castle kingside, but castling doesn't look that good because the queen's running on the diagonal to the h7 square.
Right, but I mean that's covered by a king and a knight and there's nothing to back up the queen. So you're tossing up between queen b6 and castle's kingside.
Yeah.
Okay. Were it me, I think I would have a look at queen c7. The idea being there, or several ideas. Firstly, it takes away that f4 square from the bishop. Eventually, I might want to break with c5, maybe, or I may want to castle queenside, simply because white's castle queenside. So if I castle the same side, it's going to be harder for him to launch an attack on me. If I castle on the opposite side, we might have the standard thing where both players have to attack each other and see who gets home first. So I'd be looking at queen c7 maybe. What Bobby actually does is he just does the simple castle's king side. All right. Now white plays knight e4. That knight on e3 on g3 wasn't doing much. Couldn't really go to f5 or h5 anywhere. So I guess he wants to swap it off. So if you were Bobby, Sam, what would you do here?
I would probably move the knight because I don't want to. That knight's pretty important because it's covering the h7 square, so I can get double up on that. Or
Right. So what move do you think you'd make?
he might play either knight h7 or knight g5, but that isn't that good.
Yeah, so you'd move that knight from a good square and run away and hide on h7 or something.
I might
I think
take.
Yeah, I think
Probably
that'd be a bad.
take,
Yeah, the thing with the Caro-Kann is it's like a nice, safe, solid defensive opening that you might play against a better player. So if you get the chance to swap piece for piece in an even as short a position, that's giving him less chance to attack you and getting closer to a draw. So Bobby goes knight takes knight, queen takes knight. So that's one piece out of the way. Now Bobby's next move is pretty obvious. What would you do here, Sam?
Probably c5.
Now let's have a think. We haven't cleared our back rank yet, so would it be too early to start trying to open up things on the queen side? And our B pawn would be protected.
Yeah.
Rajesh has got the right answer. Black to play. Now there's an obvious move. White's just taken with his queen on e4, so his queen's in the middle of the board. Callum's screaming it at you.
It could be queen b6 or queen c2.
Possible. There's still an obvious move, you haven't said it. Arthur's got it. Do you like his queen in the middle of the board on that nice diagonal?
Oh, you could play f5.
No, I'd take it on e6 check. You couldn't play pawn to f5, but you nearly got it. Come on, I don't want White's queen in the middle of the board. And I want to improve the placement of my pieces.
Knight f6.
Knight f6, yeah, that's the obvious move. Chase his queen away, and the knight's over there to help defend the king. So White runs back to e2. And Bobby now says, all right, I've got your queen out of the way. I'm going to bring my queen up to the middle of the board. So he's preparing to get his rooks on one of the files. The rooks are now connected, which is important. One of the aims is to connect your rooks. Also, Bobby might be thinking, well, I might be threatening to take that h-pawn, though it looks a bit risky. But maybe somewhere down the track. All right, so White's go. He plays bishop e3 just to defend that d pawn. Doesn't look like a great move. What do you think Bobby should do?
He could maybe rook a d1. Oh, sorry, d8.
d8, yeah. I would have thought rook a d8 or something like that was a fairly obvious sort of move. Or you could even play pawn to a5 to gain some space or something.
Or you could play knight e4 to get your knight in a good position.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it's going to stay there though. Yeah, I like rook d8. Bobby actually played bishop d6, so I'm not sure why he wants to move that bishop there. Maybe he's planning to play, I don't know, e5 when he gets his queen out of the way and his rook behind it or something. But that struck me as a slightly funny move. Okay, now, critical position. I want everyone to put on their thinking caps. White to play. What move would you make for White? Looks like Bobby's caught up in development now. He's got 3 pieces developed. We've got 3 pieces developed as White, and both our rooks are connected. So what should we do? I bet you no one will get it. Callum's gone c4. Gil's gone c4. Nathaniel's gone c4. We've just gone rook h4. Sam's gone b3. Liam's gone c4. Maha bishop f4, which loses a bishop. We're just knight e5. Joshua's saying maybe knight e5. You got any thoughts, Sam? What would you do?
I might play the move I suggested, B3, or maybe if I wanted to, when I get my pieces more developed, I could do bishop takes H6, but that will come later.
Sure. Yeah, that will come much later. So you're thinking B3. Okay. Now the trouble with moves like B3 is that's like that's exposing a target in front of your king. At the moment, the king has three nice pawns, like a nice wall that hasn't been breached. If you move one forward, his A pawn is probably going to zoom up and try and swap off and get his rook on the open A file and start attacking you. Right, I'll tell you the move. No, oh, someone has got it. Someone has got it, although they've changed their mind. Many years ago, I was playing the British Grandmaster Tony Miles, who's a really strong player, and I was black, and I had a position like this, and he played a move which I thought was really strange. And the move he played, and the move that White played in today's game, he played G4. G4. I can just take it for nothing, I thought to myself. Now, in my game with Tony Miles, I took it for nothing, and 10 moves later, I found I was checkmated and it was really horrible. So, Sam, now that you've seen it, can you explain to me, why does he want to give me a free pawn for nothing there? What's the idea?
I think if he gives you the free pawn, he can move his knight out to the centre maybe and attack the king side.
With his knight? Or with something else?
So he could open up lines for his pieces.
Yes, exactly right. All right, so we have kings castled on opposite side of the board, so that's normally an attacking game. So it's a question of whose attack gets home first. Now, the basic principles of attacking are you need more attackers than there are defenders. If you have more space, that will probably enable you to move your pieces across easier and get more attackers. So if you have a look at White's position, he's got more space here on the king side. So and Black's king is on the king side, so the position is sort of screaming attack, attack, attack on the king side. And it doesn't matter if you lose a pawn or two, if you can open up lines for your pieces to attack, it'll probably work out okay. So let's see what happens. Bobby says, all right, I'm taking it. Because if it doesn't, it's going up to G5 and my king's in a mess then anyway. Now, Sam, what should be the obvious follow-up move for White? He's trying to open up lines on the black king.
Probably knight H4 or
No. Now remember, the basic principle is we've got to bring more pieces into the attack. So we've got more attackers. So which piece can I bring in that's not helping me attack at the moment?
Probably rook HG1.
Nearly. Keep trying.
H4.
Nope. Rook DG1. The H rook's sort of supporting the king side. So now I've got two rooks, a bishop, a knight, and a queen that are all maybe going to help me attack. And I've got my rook on the same thing as Black's king. So there might be exciting stuff happening along there. So let's see what happens. What can Bobby do? What do you think he should do? What would be a good plan for Black?
He shouldn't move his knight.
Yeah, because if his knight goes back, then his bishop takes there. So that wouldn't be the greatest.
So probably need to play F5.
Correct. All right. So Bobby plays F5. Says I'm a pawn up. Come and get me. Now let's see what happens here. F5. So the lines are sort of blocked with that knight. So White's got to get rid of that knight so he can get his attack going. So what piece does he need to move to get rid of that knight?
He needs to rook his does rook on the H file, so he should probably do rook H4.
That would mean he'd have to sacrifice on G4.
Or you could move your knight out of the way to H4. There.
Maybe. Let's see what he does. He actually does bishop back. So now that he wants to have an attacking game, he doesn't want that knight perhaps to swap for the bishop. And his queen is now annoying that backward pawn on e6. And he might have some tricky plan involving pawn to c4, because black's queen's nearly trapped. It can go to e4, but if we have a swap off and then the knight on g4 will be undefended. So it's sort of getting a bit messy and tactical. So Bobby decides to run away with his king to h7. He's probably going to put a rook on g8 and try and defend the weak point. Okay. White now plays knight h4. So what's his idea there? He's got two ideas.
He could swap. He could do rook takes g4, and he'd get a really good position.
He might do rook takes g4. More probable, what would be the other reason? Because that knight's really blocking him. His attack. We've got to get rid of that knight to get our attack through. So what's his next move possibly going to be?
f3.
Yeah, he's probably preparing f3 to chase away the knight, open the file for the rook, and then it's all happening once we've done that. All right. So what sort of things should Bobby be doing as a defender? He's a pawn ahead, but White's got this attack going. What should he be doing? Any idea, Sam?
Bring in more pieces to defend it.
Yeah, he should try and bring in more defenders or swap off some of the attackers would probably be a good idea. So let's see what happens. He drops his knight back, so he's anticipated f3. Not sure whether he needed to do that or whether he was maybe worried about that rook takes g4 move, perhaps. What does White do? White now plays f3 anyway, so he's taking away the squares from the knight. And there'll be another reason why he wants to play f3. Can you see another advantage of f3 for an attacking player as White here, Sam? Why would he do f3 apart from taking the squares away?
Because it gains a bit of space, but it also stops him from, if he really needs to, he can swap off the queen on d5 for the rook on h1, but that's not really...
No. So White's got the same principles. If he wants to attack, he needs to get his pieces into the attack. And what's his most powerful piece?
Queen.
Queen. All right. So now have a look. Now the queen.
The queen can come into g2.
Yes, correct. So the queen could come to g2, and then the queen's in the attack. So he's trying to get his pieces near. He's got his knight close to the king, and he's thinking about moving his queen in. So Bobby drops the bishop back to protect his knight and give his... Oh, actually, wait a minute. Maybe there was a sneaky threat. Maybe there was going to be c4, queen takes the pawn, and then do something with the bishop to attack the queen, maybe? Maybe not sure. Anyway, Bobby does bishop e7. So we move our queen across. So we've got the queen and rook lined up for the attack. We're threatening the g-pawn. Should he do rook f7? Would that be a good defence?
Probably rook g8 or knight takes h5 is better, but probably rook g8's the best.
Yeah, rook f7 is probably a bit dodgy because we've got queen check, king up, and maybe we can play bishop takes h6 because of the pin. So that's looking a little bit ugly. Let's see what Bobby does. Bobby plays knight e8. All right, I'll give someone else a go. So thanks for your help, Sam. Let's try Victor. You there, Victor? You've got a microphone. Can you speak to me? Hi, how are you tonight?
Good.
Okay, so can you help us with the next few moves? We'll see if we can finish Bobby off. So we've got our attacking pieces, our queen, 2 rooks, a knight and a bishop all attacking. So,
Okay, I can see.
so what move do you think Bobby White should do now to try and beat Bobby?
This is complicated.
Yeah, it's pretty complicated. All right, let's get everyone to help. So this is a critical position. If we give Bobby more time, he'll probably bring in sufficient defenders and save the day. So we want to hit him while we're ready and before he's ready. So let's see what people are suggesting. Gil is saying Queen G6. Anyone else have an idea? Callum's going Knight G6. Maha likes Knight G6. Any move appealing to you, Victor? Do you like any of them?
Most of the moves are Knight G6.
You like Knight G6? Actually, someone has just got the correct move because it's none of those ones I mentioned. It's a pretty good move. Josh, maybe, yep. You want to have another go, Victor? What do you think?
Maybe Bishop.
Thomas has got it. Bridges has got it. Yep. What do you want to do?
Bishop F6.
Bishop where 6?
F6.
No, as White's go, Bishop can't go to F6. The bishop's on D2.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Now, one of the things I say is when it looks like tactical position, we look at all checks and captures, and here White has a really brilliant move. He plays Bishop takes H6.
Okay.
So now if King were to take the bishop, we've got Queen G6 mate. And if Pawn takes the bishop, we've got Queen G6 check, King H8, and then Queen H6 mate again. So that was really clever. So Bobby's saying, well, I'm not taking that. That would be a disaster. So Bobby goes Rook F7. All right, we need to keep the attack going, but we've got our pawn back. What would you like to do here, Victor? What do you think?
This is really hard.
Yeah.
Oh.
Look at all checks and captures. Joshua suggested a good move.
Hey,
Nothing appeals?
I think
Nathaniel's got it?
since
Derek's got it? Arthur's missed it. Thomas has got it.
since the knight is attacking the G6 square,
You want to play Knight G6?
well, no, but maybe Queen
Yes.
G6
Queen
because
G6 attack. All right. Bobby goes back to G8. So he's running away. And now White moves his bishop back, so he doesn't have to worry about the bishop being attacked, and he protects his D4 pawn. Now, guys, we need some help for Bobby. He's in dire straits here. He's being attacked by all his pieces. What should Bobby do here? You have a think, Victor. So if we're trying to defend, what would be a good defensive move? Bridges is saying Knight F6. Derek's going Bishop F6. Sam's going Bishop F8. Nathaniel Rook F6. Any of them appeal, Victor?
No, not yet. I'm still having a think.
All right. Well, it's the standard thing. If you're trying to defend, you want more defenders or less attackers. So probably the best move might be Bishop takes Knight. Get rid of that attacking Knight.
Yeah.
Then we could even think about following up with Pawn to F4 to try and block the Bishop. And then our Queen can come back and maybe help with the defence. We might try and hang on that way. That would be okay. Bobby had a slightly different idea. He said, all right, I'm going F4 straight away and try and block that bishop's attack and threaten the piece and get my queen back in. Now white comes up with a very brilliant move again. So come on guys, we're in attack mode here. Brilliant move for white. White to play. What do you reckon? Now, bishop's attacked on e3. Derek suggests the move's illegal. Callum's got the right move. Bridget's got the right move. Derek, no. Thomas has got the right move. Joshua, bishop takes f4, no. Sam, c4, no. All right. What do you reckon, Victor? Good attacking move for white? We're trying to open up lines to his king. The principles of attacking. Open up lines. How can we do that? Most people are getting it out. All right, the best move, h6. So we're trying to get at his king and get our h rook into the game. So Bobby says, oh dear, what's happening here? He's threatening pawn to h7 check. And if king goes h8, the rook's on. So that's a bit of a worry. So Bobby says, all right, I better get out of that. I'm going to play pawn to e5. So now that my queen is protecting the rook, and if he does go to h7, I can just hide on h8. Let's see if I can survive the onslaught maybe. But he didn't survive the onslaught because white plays knight f5. So now he's bringing the knight into the attack. And have a look, we've got both rooks going along here. So he's got really powerful attacking pieces. What can he do? What can he do? Bobby says, all right, I'm going to take the bishop. Okay, final chance for everyone. White to play. You've just lost your bishop. So you better have some really good attack or you're going to be a piece down. So I want everyone to put on their thinking cap, type in the question what they reckon they would play as white. Daniel Pobb's going knight e7, Callum's going h7, Sam's going knight e7, Bridget's going h7, Maha's going knight e7, Nathaniel wants to take on g7, Josh wants to take on g7. Any of them appeal?
And I keep on thinking of, in my head, G7.
Okay. Now remember my advice. If you're trying to attack, we look at all checks and captures. And to be a really good player, sometimes we have to look at silly moves, silly candidate moves, and we might find something brilliant that everyone else has overlooked. So come on, guys.
I thought...
Someone's suggesting queen f7, Benji's suggesting queen f7. No one's got it yet. Come on, Victor, look at all checks and captures. It is either a check or a... Nathaniel's got it. Nathaniel, well done, Nathaniel. Give up, Victor?
Maybe h7.
Pawn to h7. He'll just hide on h8. No. White finished the game brilliantly. Queen h7 check. So I think, Derek's got it as well. Nathaniel was the first to get it. So congratulations to you guys. And poor old Bobby had to resign because after king takes queen, which is forced, we've got pawn takes g7 check from the rook. King has got to go to g8, and then it's mate. Rook h8 mate. So what a wonderful finish that was. That was fabulous. But it was a good lesson for you guys, I think, to make certain you look at all checks and captures. And just to finish, one final remark. The interesting thing about this game is the white player took 2 minutes for the whole game. He had an increment, I guess, of 30 seconds a move. So most of this game was preparation. He'd worked it out beforehand. He'd found out Bobby's opening. He'd prepared this tricky line and executed it. So that was a valuable lesson in endgame preparation when you get to a really high level like Bobby. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the game. Thank you, Victor, for talking me through the finish there, and to the rest of you guys who helped. And we'll have another lesson next week. So I look forward to seeing you all next Thursday. Thanks and good night.